So Dinkytown is still a fun place with lots of young people. It's the young people and the vibrancy of the U of M that make it great. But it's also a little sad for a kid that grew up here because it's so different now. There's a lot of big corporations. Look at these huge buildings. There's nothing dinky about them. So it's both. It's both something that's reminiscent of your past, the students, and something that's changed a lot. It's a lot of big corporations as opposed to small stores. But it's still a fun place to go. It was a great neighborhood to grow up in. I'm so proud I'm from the east side of Minneapolis. Right over there, the old Tokyo restaurant is where my parents met. I like to say I was conceived over a bowl of rice. My dad had come out of federal prison. My mom came off the farm and she was studying literature, and my dad basically needed money for marijuana, and they got together, and next thing you know, it was the era of free love. They weren't married. I came along and my mom sat my dad down, who was a leftist revolutionary, and she said one of the famous lines in family history: the revolution is not going to happen, you need to get a job. And my dad went to college, then he went to medical school, then he did internship and residency, all after I was born. He worked full-time, raised a number of kids, and my mom was sick at home. And my father, in his wisdom, he made me, when I was 6 years old, memorize all the states, all 50 states and all 50 capitals. And I used to always say when I would walk right over here, both in good times and bad, that one day I'm going to go and see them. There used to be different places that we would call Bumville, and I'd always see these hobos and these bums, and I always actually kind of looked up to them because I would ask them, I said, what do you do all day? And they'd say, well, we ride the rails. But it's still that sense of heading out into the unknown, going down the great Mississippi, and kind of admiring those people who don't care much about making money, but do care about having an adventure and having a good time. As I became a man into my 20s and 30s, that's kind of what I did. I didn't care about making money. I would do a temp job, sell some books, get enough money in my pocket, and I'd go out and adventure. This was one of the great rail yards of southeast Minneapolis that I used to explore. And we used to come right up to the train, and when it started going, like about 2, 3, 4, 5 miles an hour, we'd hop on, right like this. I'd hop on, and put another one up there. You'd put your feet down there. And then sometimes what we'd do is we'd get on these ones that had the ladder that went up to the top, and while the train was moving, this is no lie, we'd go up the top and get on there, and then we'd jump from car to car, which got a little tricky when it was moving. Now this is when I was 9, 10, 11 years old. We'd go explore those grain elevators, but it always gave me a sense of adventure. But the point is, you have a certain amount of time in life, you take it, you go for it, you have an adventure. And now it's a completely different kind of adventure, and that's where I need to put my mind, not the bad things that happened to me, not the struggles, but it's still an adventure, just a very different kind. And literally coming here and seeing these train tracks and just remembering how we used to go up here by Van Cleve Park. Right over there was Dinkytown. If we keep going, we'd get to northeast Minneapolis. If we went that way, we'd get to St. Paul. Oh my goodness, it brings back so many memories of me. I never think of Minneapolis as the city of lakes. I think of Minneapolis as the train tracks and the river, and this is where it was. Countless adventure. My cousins grew up like in Wayzata, or they would grow up with these nice houses in the suburbs, and I always kind of felt sorry for them. So I was like, it seemed boring out there, Minnetonka, Wayzata, and I know people have all kinds of, money and adventures, but there's something about southeast Minneapolis and northeast where just all these railroad tracks, it really led to just an ultimate idea of life was going to be a great adventure, and it was. I had unbelievable times, 40 years of adventure, from the time I first took the bus at 6 years old to I first started walking the tracks when I literally was in first grade, to the first time I hopped the train. I believe I was 7 years old. Came right over here. It was a little further up at Van Cleve Park and jumped on. So it's good to remind myself of all the great adventures I have had when things go wrong. Sometimes people focus on the bad instead of thinking of all the gifts they had. And my mind can still have adventure. And I still have things to write. I still have things to do. And life is different. But I love coming back here. Yeah, we used to pull all the time. Let out the air. Oh my goodness. I remember that. We'd get chased off by the railroad cop. Oh, good times. Good times. That's what we used to do. Good man.